The Buddha once said, "Mind is the root of all action." If you speak or act with a corrupted mind, suffering follows you as the wheel follows the hoof of an ox. Have you ever found yourself wanting to do something kind, and then heard another voice rise up from somewhere deep inside? But what if I end up losing out? Why should they benefit when I'm the one making the effort? Let me take care of myself first, then I'll help. That voice, you know the one. We all have it. There's the part of us that wants to do good, and the part of us that wants to stay safe. Both exist at the same time. That's what it means to be human. But have you noticed what happens in that moment of hesitation, when those two selves pull in opposite directions? Something shifts. The heart grows just a little heavier. Today I'd like to sit with that feeling together, that place where we waver between ourselves and others. There's a short story, one many of you may already know, a spider's thread dangling over the darkness, a man reaching upward with everything he has, and a single moment that changes everything. Today I want to read that story again, slowly, from the inside, alongside some words the Buddha left us 2,500 years ago. If what I share today lights even the smallest flame in your heart, that is more than enough for me. Let me begin the man at the bottom, not his crimes, not his past, just the image of him there, floating in the darkness, looking up at a single silver thread. Perhaps you have stood somewhere like that yourself. Not in hell, of course, but in a moment so heavy, so airless, that one small thread of hope felt like the only thing left in the world. That is where our story lives. Once upon a time, the Buddha was walking gently along the edge of a lotus pond in paradise. The water was clear and still, and when he looked down through its depths, far, far below, he could see hell itself, souls writhing in the darkness, desperate and lost. Among them was a man named Khandata. In life he had been a cruel man, a murderer, an arsonist, someone who had caused great harm. But the Buddha remembered something. Just once, only once, Khandata had stopped himself from crushing a small spider underfoot. Even this tiny creature has a life, he had thought, and walked on, leaving it be. A single flicker of mercy, just one. The Buddha reached down and lowered a single silver thread into the darkness below. Pause. In the depths of hell, Khandata saw it, a thread of light cutting through the black. He lunged for it, wrapped his hands around it, and began to climb, up, 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 higher than he had ever hoped to go. But then he looked down. There were others, dozens of them, hundreds, all clinging to the same thread, climbing after him. And Khandata screamed, "This thread is mine. Get off, let go, get down." The moment those words left his mouth, the thread snapped, without a sound, and Khandata fell back into the darkness. Pause. The Buddha stood at the edge of the pond and watched. His eyes were filled not with anger, but with something quieter, something that looked like sorrow. Khandata didn't fall because the thread couldn't hold the weight. He fell because his heart changed. The one small spark of compassion he had ever carried, the moment he chose to keep it only for himself, went out, and when it went out, the thread went with it. I don't think the Buddha's sad eyes were judging Khandata. I think he was grieving something else entirely. How close he had come, how very close. When I hold this story alongside the Buddha's teachings, something comes into focus that I find deeply moving. There is an ancient collection of the Buddha's words, short verse-like teachings, gathered in a text called the Dhammapada. It opens with these lines: "Mind is the forerunner of all actions. All deeds are led by mind, created by mind. If one speaks or acts with a corrupted mind, suffering follows, as the wheel follows the hoof of an ox." These words are 2,500 years old, and yet they describe exactly what happened to Khandata in that one terrible moment. A corrupted mind, that can sound harsh, but what it really means in the simplest terms is this: a mind that has closed around itself, a mind that has forgotten everyone else is there. Pause. When Khandata chose not to kill that spider, his mind was clear. He wasn't thinking about reward. He wasn't calculating. He simply noticed another living thing and let it live. That quiet act of seeing, that was the thread. But the moment he looked down and saw others climbing, his mind closed. This is mine. That's when the corruption, as the teaching calls it, took hold. That's when the thread broke. And then the Dhammapada continues. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows, as a shadow that never departs. A shadow that never departs. A pure mind doesn't mean a perfect mind. It doesn't mean never feeling afraid, or never wanting to protect yourself. It simply means this: not forgetting that other people exist, holding, even a little, the awareness that you are not alone on the thread. What I find so important in these words is this: the Buddha isn't saying do good things. He is saying tend to your mind, because the mind comes first. The mind shapes the action shapes the life. Kandada's thread wasn't cut by anyone else. It was cut by a change in his own heart. Let's bring this closer to home, to the ordinary days we actually live. Think about a time at work. Maybe you're in the middle of a shared project and something starts to simmer inside you. I'm carrying more than my share. Why is it always me? If they would just do their part, things would go so much better. Those feelings are real. They're human. I'm not here to say you shouldn't have them, but I want to ask you to notice something. When those words start filling up the room inside your chest, when I'm the only one becomes the whole story, does it feel a little like Kandada in that moment? Gripping the thread tighter, shouting downward, making himself smaller, even as he thought he was protecting himself. There is nothing wrong with wanting to protect yourself. But the moment me becomes only me, something changes. The heart narrows, the world narrows, and without quite knowing how, the connections around us begin to fray. The Dhammapada says, everything arises from mind. This is true in our relationships too. We want closeness, but we're afraid of being hurt. We want to help, but we don't want to be taken advantage of. That tension lives in all of us, every day. What matters, I think, is not resolving that tension, but noticing it. Just pausing long enough to say, right now I'm gripping the thread. I'm pulling it toward myself. That moment of noticing is enough. That's where the softening begins. If you're raising children, I want to say this gently. Telling a child to be kind matters. But more than the words, what reaches them deepest is watching you, quietly, imperfectly, honestly, sit with your own what about me moments, and choose to look up anyway. And if you're caring for an aging parent, and you feel the exhaustion, the impatience, the guilt, please don't push those feelings away. Just ask yourself once, softly, right now where is my heart pointing? That question alone is the practice the Dhammapada is pointing toward. If there is just one thing I want to leave with you today, it is this. The moment he said this thread is mine, it broke. Kandada's story is not someone else's story. Every one of us has a Kandada inside. And every one of us also has that other moment, the quiet, unhurried second when he looked at a tiny spider and thought, this life matters too. Both are real, both are us. It's not about deciding which one is the true you. They're both true. What matters is this: when the voice that says only me rises up, and it will, just notice it. And then for a moment remember that there are others on the thread with you. That's all. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be selfless in some grand, impossible way. Nobody begins with perfect compassion. The Buddha himself taught that we grow slowly, gently, tending the mind, little by little, over time. The next time you feel the urge to do something kind, even something very small, hold on to that feeling. Don't talk yourself out of it. That impulse, that tiny flicker, is your thread. And here's the quiet mystery of it. The thread that lifts others is the very same thread that holds you up. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me today. A woman once told me that she almost didn't hold the elevator door. Her hand was already pulling back. But she did it anyway, for a stranger carrying groceries, and neither of them said a word. She told me she thought about it for 3 days. That is how it begins. Not with a vow, not with a temple bell, but with a hand that almost didn't reach out,